Glam wasn't just a sound, it was a spectacle. The glitter, the swagger, the anthems built for stadiums and midnight radios alike. But for every legend the world remembers, there were bands that set the stage and then slipped through the cracks. Underrated, overlooked, but never forgotten by those who lived for the music. This is the story of the unsung heroes, the cult icons, and the nearly great, the bands who made glam rock shine a little brighter, even if the spotlight never quite found them. Let's count down the 10 greatest glam rock bands who deserved more than just a moment. Number 10, Vardis. If you wandered into a smoky British club in the early 80s, you might have caught a blur of hair, sweat, and bare feet flying across the stage. That was Vardis, 3 working-class lads from Wakefield who turned every show into a reckless, high-voltage sprint. Their secret weapon was pure energy, captured forever on their legendary live album 100 Miles Per Hour. Steve Zodiac's guitar didn't just scream, it crackled and popped like a live wire. Using the raw swagger of glam with the full throttle speed of the new wave of British heavy metal scene exploding around them. But Vardis were always outsiders, refusing to tidy up for radio or play by anyone else's rules. They didn't chase chart trends or big label gloss, preferring sweat over spectacle and distortion over polish. That defiance cost them commercial glory, but it earned them a fierce underground following and a place in heavy metal's Hall of Misfits. Even now, their wild legacy pulses through every band that cares more about chaos than chart position. Number 9. Girl Long. Before Phil Collen took the stadiums with Def Leppard or Phil Lewis brought sleaze to LA Guns, both were cutting their teeth in Girl, a London band that blurred every line between punk, glam, and metal. When Sheer Greed hit the shelves in 1980, it didn't just strut, it glimmered, standing out in a scene obsessed with black leather and tight riffs. Songs like Hollywood Tease oozed attitude and style. The band never fit comfortably into any box. Too glamorous for the denim and leather crowd, too heavy for the radio, Girl were the ultimate outsiders, brilliant but misunderstood. Their time was brief, and by the time the world caught up, Collen and Lewis had moved on to bigger stages. Today, Girl's albums are cult treasures, proof that sometimes the most influential bands are the ones who never quite fit in. Number 8, Fastway. Born from a chance partnership between Motorhead's Fast Eddie Clarke and bassist Pete Way, Fastway was built for fireworks from day one. Even though Way bowed out before the debut album was finished, Clarke pressed on, roping in Irish powerhouse Dave King on vocals. What followed was pure blue-collar rock thunder. Their self-titled record crashed into 1983 with hits like Say What You Will, turning heads with its tough blues-drenched swagger and no-nonsense attitude. Fastway weren't about makeup and neon. They brought grit and groove, sounding like a bar fight between British metal and American hard rock. But the lineup never held steady, and as MTV Glitz took over, Fastway's raw sound felt just outside the mainstream. Still, their early albums are beloved by those who like their glam with a dose of garage danger. Number 7, Lizzie Borden. If glam metal had a horror movie phase, Lizzie Borden was its leading man. Bursting onto the LA scene in 1983, Lizzie and his crew turned every show into a blood-splattered spectacle. Face paint, fake axes, and enough stage blood to fill a B-movie marathon. But behind the theatrics were pounding, hook-filled anthems like Give 'Em the Axe and Me Against the World. Albums such as Love You to Pieces and Visualize delivered metal with just enough melody to catch MTV's eye, but Lizzie Borden always preferred cult fame to household status. As the glam wave swelled, bigger names with shinier budgets pushed ahead, but Lizzie doubled down on his persona. Part rock star, part villain, all showman. For metalheads who like their music with a twist of the macabre, Lizzie Borden remains the ultimate midnight movie hero. Number 6, Icon. From the sun-baked streets of Phoenix came Icon, a band that seemed destined for rock's main stage. Their sophomore album, Night of the Crime, shimmered with razor-sharp riffs, slick production courtesy of Eddie Kramer, and the kind of choruses made for rolling down the highway. Tracks like Danger Calling and Naked Eyes had all the hallmarks of arena anthems, and for a brief moment, Icon looked ready to join the ranks of the ELA elite. But fate had other plans. A sudden exit from singer Stephen Clifford and a record label losing faith clipped their wings just as they started to soar. Without a champion at their back, Icon slipped into the shadows, leaving behind an album that collectors and die-hard fans still swear by. Today, Night of the Crime is a cult classic, a bittersweet reminder that sometimes the best bands just miss their moment. Number 5, Blue Murder. Sometimes a band looks too good to fail. After shredding his way through Whitesnake and Thin Lizzy, John Sykes set out to build his own empire, roping in legends Carmine Appice on drums and Tony Franklin on bass. The result was Blue Murder, a group loaded with pedigree, power, and stadium-sized ambition. Their self-titled 1989 debut crashed in with everything the era demanded. Thunderous tracks like Valley of the Kings, production polish courtesy of Bob Rock, and a moody, cinematic style that walked the line between classic metal and glossy, radio-friendly rock. For fans and critics, it felt like the next big thing had finally arrived, but fate and timing had other ideas. Grunge was rumbling on the horizon, industry support began to dry up, and a lack of stable promotion meant Blue Murder's shot at superstardom faded before it truly began. The band became cult heroes instead, their legacy growing with every rediscovery. Today, that debut album stands as one of the last great testaments to the excess and ambition of glam's final act. Number 4, Y&T. Some bands are simply built for the stage. Y&T, forged in the smoky clubs of Oakland, spent the late 70s and early 80s laying the groundwork for everything the glam era would become. They weren't just about big riffs and tight hooks, they were the spark that inspired 1,000 others to chase the same dream. Led by the fierce vocals and guitar fireworks of Dave Meniketti, Y&T made every live show feel like a homecoming. Albums like Earthshaker and Mean Streak became blueprints for aspiring rockers from Metallica to Mötley Crüe. Yet, despite relentless touring and the respect of their peers, mainstream glory stayed just out of reach. Bad timing, industry politics, and a stubborn refusal to follow trends meant Y&T always played the long game. But in the end, they won something even bigger, a place in the hearts of musicians and true fans everywhere. To this day, Y&T's legacy isn't measured in platinum records, but in every band that ever took the stage and played like their life depended on it. Number 3, White Lion. There was a moment just before the musical tide turned when White Lion ruled MTV and radio with a velvet-gloved fist. Powered by the soaring vocals of Mike Tramp and Vito Bratta's virtuosic guitar, they churned out melodic rock anthems that balanced hard rock grit with emotional depth. 1987's Pride was the high watermark, producing hits like Wait and the global ballad When the Children Cry, songs that blended arena-sized hooks with a genuine sense of vulnerability. For a few golden years, White Lion was everywhere, winning over fans with their musical chops and heartfelt lyrics. But the grunge wave crashed in fast, and White Lion's shimmering sound faded almost overnight. The band splintered as quickly as they'd risen, with Bratta retreating from the spotlight and Tramp carrying the flame solo. Even so, their music lives on, a bittersweet reminder of a time when glam had soul and every chorus promised the world. Number 2, Mott the Hoople. No band straddled the line between grit and glamour quite like Mott the Hoople. With roots in late 60s hard rock, they clawed their way through setbacks and near breakups, only to be rescued by a superstar fan, David Bowie himself, who gifted them the immortal anthem, All the Young Dudes. That single didn't just save their career, it transformed Mott into working-class heroes of the glam era. Ian Hunter's gravelly charisma and Bowie's theatrical touch turned songs like All the Way from Memphis into instant classics, making the band darlings of both stadium crowds and smoky backroom bars. But the pressure and internal clashes were relentless. By the mid-70s, the band splintered, leaving behind a trail of anthems and broken dreams. Still, their influence echoes on, from Queen to Oasis, from New York punk to Britpop. Mott the Hoople's story is a rock and roll fairy tale with a bittersweet twist. Forever legendary, forever just one step from the top. Number 1, T-Rex. It all begins and ends here. T-Rex, with Mark Bolan at the wheel, didn't just define glam rock, they practically invented it. With a cocktail of psychedelic mystique, boogie rhythms, and star power attitude, Bolan turned every song into a 3-minute slice of magic. By the early 70s, albums like Electric Warrior and The Slider had made T-Rex the face of a movement. Bang a gong, get it on. And 21st Century Boy weren't just hits, they became the very DNA of glam, inspiring everyone from Bowie and Queen to legions of wannabe rock stars. Bolan's look, his swagger, his sense of fun, all became the blueprint. But as quickly as he'd soared, the world shifted, and Bolan's reign dimmed. His tragic death in 1977 sealed T-Rex's fate as pioneers who never fully reaped the rewards of the revolution they started. Even so, their glitter still shines the brightest, proof that the greatest legacies aren't always measured in charts, they're measured in everything that comes after.